Hi everyone, Lee here, aka Limo57. I hope you're safe and I hope you're well. Just a quick message to remember that your mental health matters, your mind matters, and if you are struggling, please reach out. It is okay not to be okay. You can get in touch with me personally via Discord, via Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, any of the social media platforms, and you can also find the charity that I'm a director for, which is Evolving Mindset, and you can go to www.evolvingmindset.co.uk and you can see the support that we offer there as well. We offer free online advice, support, education and guidance, so please remember you're not on your own. You're not on your own in this community. Remember, mental health matters and your mind matters. Please get in touch and don't suffer in silence.
Hello everyone, welcome along to another episode of Football Manager Therapy. I'm your host Tony Jameson, and joining me as always is the one and only Rich Owens. Rich, how the devil are you, buddy?
I am very, very well, thank you, Tony. Very, very well indeed. How are you, pal? Are you keeping well?
I'm very good. I'm very good, thank you. Good. I'm going to address it before we get started, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, loyal listeners and viewers, we are a week behind when this is going to be released, okay? So, as you know, behind the curtain, we have just finished the League One playoffs and the Vanarama National North playoffs, okay? We'll get into that in a second. We've also, it is the anniversary of Rich Owens on Twitch. Okay. Now, Rich posted out a tweet this afternoon saying, recording a podcast. A podcast. I had to reply back to Rich going, you're recording the podcast you are co-host of, not a podcast. You're still on trial, Mr. Owens.
Yeah. I told you, character limit let me down. And, you know, if I'd taken anything else out of that tweet, it wouldn't have been on brand. It wouldn't have made sense. It would have been gibberish. So.
You know, you say that. And because of that, not just because of that, to be honest, we brought in an independent adjudicator to keep you on track. And also as well, we thought we'd bring in one of the greatest content creator interviews on the circuit. Ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else, I give you the one and only Mr Diz TV.
Thank you, Tony. It's a bit weird me doing an audition with Rich Owens here. Obviously, because that's what you call me for, right? I've got to record another podcast in the week. That's why I'm here, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Just ignore him. He'll pop up every now and again. He'll say something, but it's just me and you, right? The audience can't see him at the minute, so
yeah,
brilliant. He'll be fine.
No, but thanks for inviting me on. It's a pleasure. It really is. It's an honor to be invited to Football Manager and to eventually co-host this as well. It's exciting times.
Yeah, ladies and gents, look out for my new series on YouTube, the Looking at Players Centre. Really excited to get that launched in the next few weeks. Yeah, it's going to be great. My first guest isn't on this podcast at the moment. So, enjoy that.
No.
Yeah, no, well, hey, you know what, Rich? Good luck with that, right? You're going to have a great time doing it. And I look forward to you saying, I'm recording a video today, rather than going, I'm recording my video today.
I was shocked. I was disgusted, to be fair, when I saw that. I was like, I was with you, Tony. I was like, this man, he's kicked Matt out, right? He's kicked, like, let's be honest, he kicked Matt. He came in, it was like, Matt, I miss you, Matt. Kicks him out, comes in, and then calls it a podcast. God, like... It's shocking, but no, like I say, thank you for inviting me, and happy anniversary, Rich. It's your Twitch anniversary, so it's great to be spending it with you.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, who streams on their actual anniversary on Twitch? Not me. Amateur move that. Bucking the trend.
At least you remember the date. That's the important thing, right? Yeah, that's the important thing.
Yeah. He's remembering. Yeah, nobody else would forget.
Yeah. But yeah, so we had to chuck you under the bus at the start, I'm afraid, Rich. But as I say, we have had a day. We've had, as I say, League One playoffs have finished. National League North playoffs have finished. Personally, not a bad day for me, really, to be honest. Sunderland finally out of League One at the third time basket, I think it is now. Managed to beat Wickham in normal time, which, of course, loyal listeners will know is the TJFM Discord derby, actually, because both of those teams were part of our monthly Discord challenge. It was sadness versus sadness. And today, Wearside Sadness won. So very, very happy about that. And also, York City promoted from the National League North in the playoffs in a really weird situation where they were playing at home in the playoff final. I don't get that. Presumably because Wembley was booked. But they just figured we'll do it. We'll host it at our house. You know, like when you knock on like a neighbor and you meet them for the first time, they're like, "Oh, come to ours and we'll do a barbecue," because their house is bigger, right? I think it was that. York versus Boston. Boston's gone, we've got about 90 seats. York's we've got 7,000. Come and do it at ours. It'd be great. There's a Nando's next door. You'll love it.
If there's a Nando's anywhere, I'm there. So yeah,
mate, brilliant, man. You got to validate your parking, so go and buy sweets at Marks and Spencer's, but come and have a day out. It's brilliant. So that's been done today, and of course, because we are in the future, essentially when recording, we don't know the results of the final fixtures in the Premier League. But what we can say is congratulations, Man City. And if Man City didn't win, fuck. Let's just move on.
Yeah.
No, but hasn't that whole investigation concluded now that found that Manchester City and Liverpool are disqualified from this season's Premier League and next season's?
None of it counts, really.
And somehow Man United end up winning it. Ain't that?
Hey, Diz, answer me this, right? I think, personally, the second that the drinks break was brought in, it's a different sport, so none of it matters.
And in the grand scheme of things, does anything matter?
No, not at all. Not at all, really. So, if anything, whatever happened last week is irrelevant. And the same with the Champions League. Just, it doesn't really matter. This is called Nothing Really Matters therapy now.
Nothing really matters therapy apart from this podcast.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So there we go. So that's where we are. But Diz, you've started there. You mentioned United. Let's bring it up straight away. It's not been the best of seasons.
I've never known a season to finish in November before, and that's genuinely what happened, right? Like, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gets sacked. We had a good summer, right? Jadon Sancho, Rafael Varane, great signings. We needed a midfield player. That didn't happen, but we ended up with Ronaldo. So getting like 3 out of 4 of probably the positions that you needed, you think that's progress, right? And you're talking about Varane, one of the best defenders and okay, I get it. He's played at Real Madrid and he's always looked better than he is, but he's still one of the top names in world football. Jadon Sancho, I've been a Jadon Sancho stan for about 5 years. Like, as soon as the first time I seen him play for Dortmund, I thought, what a great signing. I wanted him last year. I've got an emote of Jadon Sancho on my stream. I love that man. So getting him, I was really happy. A right winger, which is what we needed. Although now apparently he can't play on the right, which is just mad. Getting Cristiano Ronaldo, you think, okay, yes, he is past his best, but one of the best players historically in the world and still able to get you about 20 goals is what I'm thinking in August. And I'm thinking with Cavani, with those two will be able to provide the goals. And then we just can't defend. And it goes beyond that. That midfield that is a bit of a problem. It just ends up being so open, and then we just concede. Solskjaer's giving chance after chance after chance. He gets sacked rightfully, and I was the biggest Ole Gunnar Solskjaer fan as well. It means more, I think, if your club has a legend in charge who then wins things. I think that's romance in football. That's as peak as it gets, I think. Especially for me, if you saw that player, if that player gave you so many great memories as a kid and all that stuff, the 99 final, all that kind of stuff. 4 goals against Nottingham Forest. And then, unfortunately, he gets sacked. We get Ralph Rangnick, who was brilliant. And then the players decide, I don't know, I can't be bothered. And it's just madness. It's just a very poor season. But hey-ho, it is what it is. It's coming to an end. I don't care anymore. That's where I'm at. I don't care. And it's funny because like Arsenal are there for the Champions League and Tottenham. And I'm giving a bit of banter to Arsenal fans, right? Because I would love it if they lost the Champions League space to Tottenham, which it looks like. And, because it's in the future, it's already happened. So congratulations, Tottenham.
Finally, Tottenham did something.
Exactly. It's well done, Conte. But that's happened. But like, it's just mad to me that like Arsenal fans are trying to give me banter back and I don't really care. Like genuinely, this season is finished for me. I have It was finished around January, February time. I think when the Champions League knockout happened in March, I think that's when it was like completely dead. But before that, it was already pretty much last rites.
Is it difficult as a United fan, like watching the season that like one of your biggest rivals historically, Liverpool, are having, in as much as, you know, well, obviously, you know, they've lost the Premier League after Man City won 10-0 on the last day. But, you know, up until then, you've got a team that are chasing a pretty historic, like, quadruple. You know, it's, as a neutral, it's kind of exciting to watch, because when was the last time you saw a team challenging on that many fronts? You know, it's an exciting time just as a statistician, as an enjoyer of football. Is there anything inside? Are you able to enjoy that in any way, shape, or form, or is it just that is the rivalry just standing too much in the way of being able to stand back and look at it and think, hey, that's still a hell of an achievement. It just happens to be that a team that I don't like particularly have done it.
So for me, it's incredibly difficult, because I remember a time when Man United were 10 times better than Liverpool, and Liverpool weren't even in the equation, right? Liverpool were what Man United are now. However, what I will say is, and Man United fans are probably going to think I'm not a real Man United fan, whatever. You know what? I love Man United. I've been a season ticket holder at Man United. I've followed Man United, you know, for 30 years. This Liverpool team is so likable. Like Jurgen Klopp, as a manager, I rate him so highly. I think he's the best manager in the world. I would have had him at Man United when we got rid of David Moyes. He was my choice. I really wanted him. And then you look at some of the players like Salah and Mane. And Mane, like, you know, whenever he wins or whatever, and like some of the charity work he does, like, you know, building hospitals at home. And it's difficult. It's difficult because I want to dislike them more. But at the same time, credit where credit is due. If you get one of the best managers in the world, you back that manager, and that manager then does the business, and he's actually quite a likable person in real life. I've got to give him credit. I don't hate them as much as I do. I just kind of ignore it. So I don't hate Liverpool now at the minute. So I don't know, whoever the next manager is going to be, I probably will. But at the minute, yeah, when Steven Gerrard takes over, it'll be back to the normal, like, you know, mate, Liverpool, I hate you. But Jurgen Klopp is just great. And I've got a lot of time for this Liverpool team at the minute with him in charge.
See, I find that a really interesting one, because I'm very much like, how do I phrase this? Because I'm like yourself. I fell out of love, like not just this season. I fell out of love like last year, before, probably. Like the COVID season was really bad for me. I was like, because at that point I was like, Liverpool are going to win the league, and they're just not going to stop talking about it. Like, and then COVID happened. Everyone's played behind closed doors, and it was like, so then I could sort of joke on, going, didn't even win the league because no one saw it, right? You know, so it's fine. Different game. Like, you know, you've got more substitutes than you've ever had before. You got your drinks breaks. You haven't really won the league. Stick an asterisk next to it. That'll wind them up, right? And then the following year, when everyone came back in the stadium, they didn't win the league. So I was like, see, my point's been proven. And then, of course, this season has been, you've mentioned he who should not be named for me. That made me fall out of love with Villa. The fact that Gerrard turned up at Villa, and the Newcastle takeover was me completely backing out of the Premier League 100% straight away. And you know what? I have not felt better than not giving a single care to Premier League football all season. Like, my Saturdays have been brilliant. Like, I'm not sitting scrolling through my phone stressing about results or looking at like who's been linked with who, players wise or whatever, and going, oh, you know, VAR this, VAR that, or oh, this manager's having a terrible time. Just literally have had the easiest year of all as a football fan by not engaging with football, which I know sounds really weird.
The worst thing about this whole Liverpool thing is the fact that everybody in the community apparently supports Liverpool. Dr. Benji, Work the Space, Clates, a few other people, like, you know, that I'm not naming right now, but I have forgotten, but like just they're three. But I mean, like Twitter, whenever they do really well, you just see Pine. He's another one, and you just see their tweets, and you're like, "Oh God, like, do I have to see this?" That's the worst thing about it, to be fair. But you're right. I think checking out, like, now I'll have the game on because I've got a TV right there, but I'll be editing or I'll be doing something constructive with my time with the game on as background noise. And ultimately, I don't really care, and I can't wait for the summer. And you know, Ten Hag's going to come in. And I get it. Like football it's become a bit. I mean, today's the day that they've announced that Kylian Mbappe is re-signing with PSG for €300 million signing on fee, €100 million a year. I don't know whether you've seen this, but just as it was announced, just as we started recording, Real Madrid have appealed it now and taken it to UEFA and basically said that they've ruined football, which they kind of have. But the fact is, Kylian Mbappe is going to be making footballing decisions, sporting decisions. We signed this player. Kylian Mbappe is living the dream of all football manager fans in the world. Like he gets to play, but saying, "No, I don't like Neymar. Let's get rid of Neymar. I want somebody else in. Let's get Sancho in, or let's get Rashford in." Which once again would question his decision making. To be fair,
he's got all the benefits of being player manager without the pressure of being sacked.
Pochettino, can you imagine him? Like Pochettino's sitting there like, where is what is my life now? Hey Kylian, do you mind if I sign I don't know, Paul Pogba? Yeah, okay, you can do that one. Okay, phew. God, we got that one over the line. Can we sign Lukaku now? I don't like him. Okay, fine, we can't. Like literally, what is football now when a player who isn't even the best ever, you know, we're not talking Messi, we're not talking Cristiano Ronaldo, we're not talking Pele, we're not talking Maradona, we're talking Kylian Mbappe, who is probably the future, but not. I don't think he'll ever be as good as you know the two that we've just experienced. Gets that kind of power at a football club. It's madness to me.
Have you? Sorry to interrupt there, Rich. Have you considered doing what I've done? And I mean, I was going to say what Rich has done, but Rich is just in the situation where unfortunately Wednesday got relegated into League One. Like, but have you considered just like dropping down the divisions and like picking a local, like a more local side, or like a non-league side or something? Or are you still like you're still full on the Man U train, essentially? Like have a look and see what Ten Hag can do and go again, or like are you sort of like, oh, I'm just a bit, yeah, it's been a crap season. Let's have another go next year, see where we're at, that sort of thing.
It's so I compare football to love, right? And I love Man United. So straight up, like Man United was there before I knew what probably around just before I knew what wrestling was, before I met my wife. You know, Man United is my longest ever relationship, and I'm a very loyal person. Like good or bad, I am there. So I'll never stop supporting Man United. I might just mentally check out occasionally where it's just not good for me because for a long period of time, Man United gave me some of the best moments of my life, right? And I got to remember this. I'm quite spoiled. I am really spoiled. I didn't know it at the time because I thought Man United would be there forever. But, you know, I've experienced nights that I never thought I'd experience in football. Let's just clarify that. I've experienced things through Manchester United that that not a lot of fans will ever experience. So I'll always remember that. Right now it's bad, and it is bad, and I do check out at times, but I do think things will get better. But I'll never ever leave Man United. I won't, because like I say, it's my longest relationship, and just like any relationship, you take the good with the bad, right? And you take the bad with the good, and you just gotta ride it out. Unless you apply for divorce, but I don't know whether we can do that yet. I don't know.
Who gets custody of Jadon Sancho?
Me! I love that man. He's 21 years old, right? I'm 38. He could actually be my child.
Yeah, but you got to have access to Eric Bailly alternate weekends, you know. So it's
okay. Yeah, you know what? I don't like it.
Is it really worth it?
No, nothing's worth it. Yeah, so it's tough. But yeah, it's fine. Like I do support Man United. I do keep an eye on some of the local clubs. I keep an eye on Birmingham. I do keep an eye on Aston Villa at times just to see what they're doing. I do keep an eye on the local teams, Wolverhampton Wanderers. I do also keep an eye on Walsall at times because they're around the West Midlands. So I do keep an eye on these teams, but to actually support and properly support, if I didn't support Man United, I'd probably not watch football anymore. I've already got to the point where, sorry, and I'm going on a little bit, I've already got to the point where I used to watch every single game of football that was on TV, every single game, no matter what. 2 years ago, I'd watch it. Now, so the last season and a half, I only watch Man United games. Now I've got to the point where I barely watch Man United games. So if I don't watch Man United, if I'm not feeling Man United, I think it'll be really tough for me to start supporting somebody else and watching other games as much as I used to.
It's fair enough. Yeah, you can't argue it. You can't argue with the logic. I mean, I think from us, as Tony said, you know, he's stepped away pretty much from just interest in Premier League football. You know, I'm a Sheffield Wednesday fan, so you know it's not really been on my radar for the last 20 odd years. I'm not invested in the Premier League, But to the same extent, much the same reasons that Tony's kind of, taken a bit of a back step from the Villa. Sheffield Wednesday aren't the club that I started supporting 30 years ago. So, I found myself, I'm a lot more interested in what's going on in other leagues and other divisions. And I kind of enjoy it now more as a neutral than anything else. And I think I get a lot more out of that than I did kind of in the position where I was just getting angry, because Sheffield Wednesday have been a mess for years. And you're just getting angry, you're getting frustrated, you don't understand the decisions that are being made. And it gets you down. It really does get you down. So more credit to you. It takes a lot of willpower to have your level of commitment. Like you said, it's loyalty, isn't it? That level of loyalty, that level of commitment to something. More power to you, man. That's
I've got good memories of Sheffield Wednesday. See, I like Sheffield Wednesday. I remember when they were in the top division. I remember them being in the cup finals against Arsenal, which they lost both. Chris Woods was your goalkeeper, right? And yeah, did you have Chris Waddle for a time?
We did. Chris Waddle is the reason I support Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, like this. And I get it. So this is like I've got good memories of Sheffield Wednesday, and it is. So I've got this thing about historical clubs getting back in the Premier League. So Nottingham Forest, I am fully for. What I wouldn't want, what I didn't want, was for obviously Bournemouth, Fulham, and Sheffield United got relegated last season. I hated the thought of all three of them then getting promoted again, and like Norwich, Watford, and who was the other team who got promoted? Brentford, right? I hated the idea of like them just yo-yoing. That to me is just ridiculous. That to me is like stupid. It's rubbish for the league. It's rubbish for everyone else involved. It's rubbish for the neutral, right? So Nottingham Forest potentially getting promoted for me is a big deal. Sunderland coming back up, I like that. Sheffield Wednesday, I'd love to see them back in the Premier League. It's a lot more. I think it's better, especially I think when you can look back on teams that you liked when you were young. To see them come back would be great, I think.
I think the benefit of a yo-yo club, though, means that Alexander Mitrovic looks like he might be a half-decent footballer every other season. So, he's got a career tally of 400 goals, but only 3 of them have been scored in the Premier League. But for me, I found it. I know you say there about like a love affair with a club, and I totally get that. Like, I found it easier walking away because I'm not from Birmingham. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't have that like, oh my God, that's my team, that's my city, that's my people. Like, I genuinely, even when I wasn't supporting Sunderland, would get angry if I saw anti-Sunderland slander anywhere. Like when Sunderland got relegated, I was like, oh, why have they been relegated? And I feel like upset, and like, or if ever there was like a derby game that didn't quite go Sunderland's way, I was like, I feel really angry about it. Like, especially living in the centre of Newcastle at the time when like we could see St James's Park. Like, I would just sit there just going, today better not be the day. Today better not be the day. Like, and like, even obviously with the result today, I was like going, right, that's my hometown club. Like, I'm happy for that. That's cool. Like, I'm really happy. Like, and York, obviously we live there now, and that's where the boys were born. So I'm sort of like, that's their club essentially, even though they've never been. But I like that identity again. And with Villa, I never had that. I couldn't feel angry about Birmingham, for example, or West Brom or Wolves. I was just like, it's just another team for me. Like, so that made it so much easier to step away, to be like, I don't need to have this. Like, this has not been something that's been passed down through my lineage and my family going, you are born this fan and therefore you must be this fan forever. I was just like, I picked this. I picked this misery. I'm going to stop. This is self-inflicted at this point. Like, because Rich has touched upon it there. Like, you get angry at decision making and you start taking those decisions personally. Like, you start to think that the board members have been listening to your conversations going, you know what would really piss Tony off is if we give this guy another contract. Why him? I've been saying he's rubbish all season.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that as well. I don't know. And also, have you ever been to Aston Villa?
Yeah, loads. Like, I was part of the North East Supporters Club as well. Like, so we would go down quite a bit, and like, even then, like, saying about watching stuff, like, I think the League Cup final was the playoff final was the second game I've watched this season, like in terms of actual football. And I would watch Portuguese football, J League football, like Dutch football, German football. I'm like yourself, I would just have it on constantly. Whereas now I'm like, I don't even watch Match of the Day. I'm not bothered. Like,
it's true. I can't. So I record Match of the Day every week on my Sky Planner. I delete it every week on my Sky Planner without having watched it. The best thing about football now is Michael Richards and Roy Keane. I personally feel Michael Richards more than anything. I think that's the best thing about football right now. Is the analysis probably? I think that's probably the best thing about football now. And that's probably the bit that I do watch. I watch Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher. I watch Roy Keane and Michael Richards, for instance. I watch Sones, much to, oh God, it's just like, I mean, if there's ever a dinosaur, right, on a football show, it's him, right? How he's not extinct yet. He's like the Triceratops of football punditry right now.
But he's TalkSport. He is there to get you angry, to make you watch, and he says the stupid stuff. It's the same as why Savage used to always be there. Like they go, "Oh, Robbie Savage, what's your views on this thing?" "Oh, well, I'm going to say that the really popular thing isn't good," and everyone's go, "Oh, what the hell, Robbie Savage?" like, oh yeah, look, all of a sudden there's loads of engagement, and it's like it's just a classic trick. "Oh, Graham Souness, what do you think?" "Oh, well, I'll tell you what I think. It's Paul Pogba's fault. Paul Pogba's just scored 9 goals this match. Shut up, Graham Souness. What do you know?"
Yeah, it's madness, to be fair. Yeah, but I think that's the best thing about football, to be fair, at the minute, is the punditry. I don't watch much of the day, though. I don't really watch a lot of football anymore, and I'm okay with it. And like I say, I'll probably start again. I'm ready to be hurt again in August. And then in October, I'll be back to okay, yeah, fine. I can't be asked for this anymore.
Just the idea of like, oh, I've been hurt before, but I'm happy to be in another relationship now. I just want the club just to treat me right, just.
That's what it is, right?
It's not even a new relationship. It's your ex, your horrible toxic ex that's just walked back in like a fake mustache. Like,
I bet you got a text message. You free, babe? Oh, yeah. That's what it is.
It'll be different this time. Oh, will it really? Okay.
2 months later, no.
It's the same, and it's worse. Oh,
why,
like,
God? Why?
In terms of like your kind of as you've just touched upon there, in terms of like your interest, you say kind of your main interest in football now, or the thing you enjoy the most is kind of the punditry aspect and kind of the analysing aspect. Would you say that there's kind of been, in terms of your involvement with the FM community, for example, like the work that you've done on things like the Lowdown, would you say there's been a kind of direct correlation as the more that you've done of that kind of stuff, the behind the scenes, the analysis, the punditry, the sitting behind the camera talking about football in some capacity, would you say that that's kind of altered your real life kind of IRL enjoyment of how you consume football? Do you kind of look at what you do and you see it in, say you enjoy people like Michael Richards? Is that more of a motive? Is that more apparent in you now that you kind of do a little bit of it yourself? Do you think?
Not so much. I feel like I can separate them really well, or differentiate them really well. The Lowdown, at the end of the day, whilst we're there to do a great job and provide some good insight, it's also content. So there's a little bit of, so sometimes I might say something for comedic effect. Like you'll notice whenever I'm introduced, I'll always give a little joke. And it will always be something like it's my favorite Saturday and it's my anniversary was on a Saturday this year. That's my favorite one at the minute. Because when I hear people laugh, that settles me. So like
join the club.
Yeah. I was gonna say, mate, there's comedians on the circuit that don't do that. So
also, I'm taking that joke. So good. For that. My set now has a joke in it. Good.
Yeah, that's my only one. So, but yeah, so. Do I think that my interest in punditry is mainly around the characters? So I love the energy that they provide. I love their interactions, and that's what I love more than anything. Really, to be fair, when it comes to, we'll go into like my content and stuff like that as well. That's what I love. I love the personalities, and I feel like now we've got a place where in football punditry, we've got personalities now who are more diverse, who have got differing opinions, who have got different personalities, bring different energy. And it's not just like really boring when I was growing up with like, Mark Lawrence and Alan Hansen. They gave some great insights, don't get me wrong, but it's pretty much the same style. Whereas having somebody like Michael Richards and then him like totally rub off Roy Keane the wrong way, seeing that passion, seeing that positivity for Michael Richards, seeing Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher with their insight. And like, these two hated each other when they were playing and now all of a sudden they're best friends. I love seeing that kind of stuff. In relation to my bit on the Lowdown, like I say, it's great and I love it and I love analysing stuff and I love giving that insight. I feel like I do offer something different I also feel like just in relation to that, you've got the content part of it as well. So I'm adding layers because I'm adding content to it.
Yeah, I guess you're completely right. And like, to be fair, the Lowdown is a great sort of advert for you, really, to be honest. And like, obviously, I got into your content like way back at the start when you first started on in sort of lockdown 1, really, I suppose, wasn't it, when you jumped onto it? And then I got on board with the Scouting Centre really quickly as well, which again we'll talk more about as to how you've slightly gone more that way than the streaming element now. I suppose the Scouting Centre is more of you. When you started getting into, I'm going to do my Scouting Centre question now, actually, right? So when you started your content creation journey, and this is one of the Scouting Centre questions, by the way, when you started your content creation journey, did you feel that you were in a realm, you were starting something brand new, right? Okay, you jumped in and everything was a sea of white 30-odd-year-old blokes with glasses and beards? Yeah. 2 years on, has that scene changed? And where do you see it going in the future?
Great question, Tony. When I first started, there weren't that many minority streamers. I don't think there were any. There was Kimmy Minks. Kimmy Minks as in relation to female streamers. And I don't remember any other brown people streaming. And I don't remember seeing many. I know Manny had been around before, but I don't remember seeing many black people streaming. Now we are in a much better place where I see multiple black people streaming. RDF being the head of that, RDF being the lead of that. And I love RDF. RDF is just the best in the world. Oh, sorry, that's CM Punk. But...
No, we were going to let it slide. At this podcast, we love and respect RDF Tactics.
Yeah, he's just brilliant. He's the best. But then I see more female people streaming, and I love seeing that. It's like FM Girl, Classic Katie, obviously Holly Plays as well, and you know that's just to name 3. I'd love to see a lot more like brown people streaming. I'd love to see a lot more people who are comfortable in themselves, who are like. Who are from the LGBTQ community, and we have got quite a few of them as well, to be fair, streaming as well. And I'm really happy to see that. I feel like Football Manager should be a safe space for everyone, and I feel like diversity, you know, we need to be more diverse, and like I said earlier, I think diversity brings differing better views, and I genuinely do feel that. And that doesn't mean it's always correct. That doesn't mean as in like everyone's views are always correct just because they're from a diverse. No, I don't mean that. I mean like I feel like there's so much room, and we can bring so much different. Like once again, like that different nature, that different thing. Like, you know, I can come out with like some of my Bangla stuff or my Asian culture and all that kind of stuff, and you know, RDF with he can be comfortable in himself. You know, we talked about that on my Scouting Centre the other week. Sorry, that was a bit of a plug.
No, the link to the Scouting Centre is in the description anyway. Like that's one of the first things that we'll do is put all your stuff on there. Like, because what I was going to ask was did you have, and I've spoken to RDF about this before, and he mentioned it on the last time that we interviewed him, when you first set that camera going and went live for the first time, did you have any concerns about how you'd be received? Because I know that was speaking to RDF, he said when he was doing his YouTube content, he never put his face cam on because he didn't know how he felt he would be received. He thought it was going to be a negative. And then when we did Monday Night Football as part of the Twitch Sports, he was the only guy on there who didn't have a camera on. And he went, I'm not ready for it. And then now you fast forward 8 months, and my word, that boy's gone on a journey. Like, and he is himself and then some, and he's just smashing it, killing it, like yourself. Like, you wouldn't, if there was ever a concern or a question in your head, it certainly doesn't look like it. But what was that first thought when you hit go live for the first time? Was there any sort of like reservation at all?
100%. So I didn't know what I was going to stream when I first started, and I first started. So I didn't know about streaming up until lockdown 1, and then I saw FIFA. I wanted to play FIFA with my mates, but they wouldn't play with me because they were scared to lose. I'm not that good. That they were just that crap. And then, but so I got into FIFA. But then I remember seeing some streams. I remember going to Twitch and seeing some streams and seeing the racial abuse people were getting. And I was like, you know what? This isn't for me. Like, I mean, I've been racially abused regularly in my lifetime, so it's not the case of I can't handle. And this is what people say, right? It's the real world. You got to handle it. No, you don't. You don't.
No, not at all.
You ain't got to. So I made the decision to like kind of stream Football Manager because it was the game of my life. Like, you know, it is a game that I've played regularly since it was Championship Manager back in the day. Was I concerned? I think I saw that it wasn't as bad. I think I didn't see any instances of racial abuse, but that could have also been the fact that before I started streaming, there weren't many regular minority streamers. But then when I started the camera, it was great. Like the community really accepted me. I felt the love, to be fair, because there was a period of time for like I started streaming in September, and before the new game was released in November, I was like averaging 50 plus. I was having like loads of people come in. You still get like occasionally you get the odd idiot, which happens, but it's nowhere near the level of abuse I thought I'd get. So was I concerned? Yes. Is it something that affected me in relation to making content? No. But was it at the back of my mind when I was streaming? Yes. How do I feel about it now? There's always going to be idiots, right? And the bigger, I think Football Manager content creation and Football Manager content on Twitch, on YouTube, I think it's growing. And I'm very I'm sensible enough to know that the bigger an audience, the more idiots that's going to allow entry into, or sorry, that they're going to enter the community. And I'm okay with that, as in it is what it is. Like, it's not right. We all know that. But the right people know it's not right. So it's not a case of I'm not fighting against like a level of authority or the people at the top of the chain or people that the people that I'm surrounded by are amazing. You know, we've all got similar opinions. I've had these conversations with Ben regularly. I've had the conversation, actually. I was given an open floor to have a conversation about it with everyone in the Streamer Showdown on one of our 10 p.m. After one of the showdowns, which, you know, they didn't have to do that. And it's nice to see, basically. The people that matter, no concerns whatsoever. And that's what you want. The idiots you can't control.
But I think, you know, it got touched upon, I think, when we were talking to Ben. You know, he was saying, you know, that it's in terms of building the community and building that safe space for people. You know, that's down to, you know, the community have to take responsibility for doing that. And from what I've seen, as you know, as being a member of the community and kind of, you know, just watching people's streams, watching other content, 99.9% of the community seems to be completely on board with that message. You know, if there's any negativity, if there's any conduct that, you know, just wouldn't be acceptable in any walk of life, not just in terms of watching FM content or content online, if people see, you know, bigotry, racism, anything like that in the community, it seems to be the case that everybody straight away is like, no, that's not acceptable. Like, that's not what we're building here, you know, which isn't necessarily the case in, you know, other online communities. But, you know, from what I've seen, my experience of it seems to be a positive one. And it seems to be like, you know, the building blocks are in place and it seems to be going in the right direction. That does, you know, if you do see those idiots, if those people are in, nobody stands for it. It's not like a, well, you just need to handle it. It seems to be there's a zero tolerance policy to it across the board in most cases, which I think is a really, really positive thing.
And I agree with that. I do think that it's called out, and you know, there's loads of people who are like allies in relation to this. And you know, Ben, I can name a few. Ben Scooter, for instance, Scooter, who is one of the most like, he goes through a lot, right? And he goes through a lot, but he still challenges and puts himself at the forefront as the shield when he sees anything going wrong, and like that hurts him. Because he's going through a lot as it is, like, but he still does it, and it's like it's you know, like you say, it's not every community. This would not happen everywhere. So I'm fully blessed, more than anything, to be accepted by so many people. And like I say, that, you know, I'm a little bit older, right? So, and like I said, I've experienced racial abuse a large part of my life. So to be honest with you, like I can kind of say that I'm blessed to be part of this community. I'm blessed that there's so many allies who stand up against bigotry. And yeah, I'm thankful to everyone who puts themselves forward. You know, there was a thing about the Streamer Showdown, you know, about it wasn't diverse enough or things like that. I remember during those times I was speaking to Ben, and I knew there was a plan going forward. And you know, people were very quick to tweet about it publicly, but if they sent him a DM, you'd kind of have an understanding that there was a plan. And I felt really bad because Ben likes to talk about the Streamer Showdown and he doesn't want people to like pile on and things like that. I felt so bad because I was like, we know there's a plan. Like, we know things are going to happen. Like, RDF was mentioned last year. Holly was mentioned last year. There were going to be more people coming in. It just had to be, you know, not the first one. Like, the first one, after you've been off for a while, there has to be a certain way of things are done. There has to be a level of trust in relation to that. So I felt bad, but like Ben's like the biggest ally I know. Like, you know, there's instances that have happened in the past, and Ben still speaks to me. He says, "I'm not sure whether I handled that right," but he rationalizes it to me. And if somebody rationalizes something to you, you can understand why they've made that decision, because no decision is always every decision is not always correct, right? But if they can rationalize to it, and you can see where that person is coming from, you might not agree with it. You might have taken a different route, but you can understand that decision. And that's why, like, you know, I've got a lot of time for a lot of the people in this community, because I think everyone's trying to act with good faith. And that's the most important thing, acting with good faith.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And I mean, you know yourself, like, you know, the way that we sort of like respond and react to any issues of, you know, discrimination, or like I said, like we were very, very open about the Newcastle takeover for a podcast. We were like, I put my name to a lot of things, and I'm like going, no, I am not having anything to do with this at all. And like, you know, we want to make sure that we're at the forefront of those conversations as well, and saying, like, you know, that we are, you know, a community. All of us are a community. The podcast is the community, and like, you know, that we are all equals together. And you know, Ben touched upon it last week as well, and like saying, this is our floor. You're welcome. Of course you're welcome. But if you don't abide by our rules, you don't agree with our views, fuck off. You're not welcome. Like, do you know what I mean? And so in that sense, like, is there anything that you would like to see done better to help promote diversity, to help promote acceptance, tolerance? I know we had, you know, the Twitter hate campaign happened, like, which was a Twitch campaign, so which was a Twitch issue, which of course we all addressed at the time, went right, which was great as well. I've got to shout out to all the mods who are working Twitch. Messages going between mods going, this is on the horizon, this is what you look out for, do not let it happen. Like, and that was great. Like, everyone was banding together going like, this is not a thing, none of us are standing for this, which is amazing. So like, if there's anything that you know that you would like to see going forward, what would that be, and what would that look like, do you think?
I think it goes back to the day we live in, right? Everyone can be anonymous behind an account, and because you're anonymous behind an account, you can say what the heck you want to. That is the first thing I change. Like, you know, we're living in a world now where social media is part of our day-to-day stuff. Social media is almost like a CV, right? And that's what I think everyone who signs up to any social media account, whether it be Twitch, whether it be Facebook, whatever, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is, you need to give identification. And I feel like, you know, they need to be able to prove it's you. Like, if you want to open a bank account, you need to provide identification, right? If you want to apply for a job, you need to provide identification. I think the social media footprint now is that's the level of it. It needs to be to that threshold. You need to provide identification. In relation to that, that would then, I bet you any money, that would stop about 90%, I think, because everyone's a tough guy when they're anonymous, right? It's like when it's like when I answer the phone and it's like some random number and I'm saying, oh, you know, they're saying, oh, I'm there for your life insurance, and I'm there saying, well, oh, funny you should say that. I'm dying tomorrow. How much money can you hook me up with? Like, because it's somebody who I don't know, right? But if it's somebody, it was like my dad calling me saying, I'm here to start out your life insurance. I say, oh, okay, Dad, I'm probably not interested right now. So you hang up the phone. That's probably a really bad analogy, right? It really is. But my point being, though, like, you know, when you're anonymous, you're a little bit more brave, aren't you? And I feel like we need to stop. I don't feel like we should. I feel like you can have your username, but then I also think we need to be better. So, you know, when somebody comes in and they provide racist abuse or whatever, I feel like what the general or any abuse, sorry, the general consensus is we block them from our channels. we could probably have a community bit where you can just say, right, block this person. But also, do we then report that individual to Twitch? Because that's another step, right? So we block him and we feel like, right, job's done. Do we then report that individual to Twitch? Because then it's all right having a go at Twitch, but if Twitch don't know these things are happening, then how can we hold them accountable? So then that's things that we could do better as channel owners, as moderators, as whatever role we're in. Obviously, the more people that report, the more serious it will be taken. So there are things that we can do as well as the relevant authorities. I feel like we do the thing that we feel is right, but then we don't take that extra step. So we do the short-term thing, which is block. We don't do then the medium to long-term thing, which is then report, which we could then potentially get that account suspended, banned, whatever it is.
Yeah, and I think that's a great idea, actually. And to be honest, that's a really, really good idea. I think that's one we'll absolutely be taking forward and suggesting to ourselves. So, no, thank you for that. That's absolutely on our radar now, to be honest. I guess in terms of your content, then, if we talk about that, we talk about streaming. Okay, we talk about streaming. We need to talk about the Scouting Centre, because I love the Scouting Centre, right? And again, I don't know whether it's just because it wouldn't be the same if it wasn't you that was doing it. And I'm going to say that with a really, really that. I mean that with all the love in the world. Like you were just the perfect host for the Scouting Centre. Tell me why that became your avenue.
Right. So, I love the Scouting Centre, and I think it's one of the greatest things I've ever done, which is mad, right? Because I don't even feel like it's anywhere near where I want it to go. So when I started thinking about content and YouTube content, because what happens is you start Twitch, and then I started Twitch, and then people start saying, well, you need to make YouTube content. And when I started Twitch, I had no idea I had to make YouTube content, and that's how I saw it. Oh, I have to make YouTube content to be part of this community. I have to make YouTube content. But between September and December, I started to see a lot of people go through some mental health lapses, and that was down. And I started to see a reoccurring theme, and that reoccurring theme was numbers. Genuinely, seeing that, I thought, okay, so maybe if I speak to other content creators, that would then help content creators who are having mental health, who are experiencing bad mental health in relation to their content. And if they understand that other content creators experience that will help them. Genuinely, that is the birth of the Scouting Centre. That was my hope. Just offering some help, offering some advice. If, for instance,
some sort of therapy-based podcast you're suggesting, really.
I mean, I was going to call it the therapy centre, but so that was my origin. That was my thinking of okay, I like speaking to people. But initially, it started with I think episode one was with Second Yellow Card, which was us playing a draft mode as well.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
So because I still wanted some Football Manager footprint, and I'm so blessed. So Matt, firstly, Second Yellow Card, he was amazing. He was so open with me. He doesn't know this. I nearly cancelled an hour before because my anxiety was through the roof. January the 6th, we filmed it, 2021. But my anxiety I was there thinking, oh my God, I'm going to I've got to be with him for an hour. I don't know what, is this going to work? Am I okay? My anxiety was through the roof. But I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't, because it's the best thing I think I could have ever done. And at the time, there weren't many people who were doing interview shows. And I don't know, Matt was really open and honest with me, and he told us about some of his mental health issues, which then went into, he then, after it, he says, look, this was brilliant, mate. He goes, it's the best one I've ever been part of. I think you've kind of nailed it. And then I had Bully Beef on, and Bully Beef, me and Bully Beef, we kind of grew up together in content. So it was great to have him on. I wanted people to see a different side to Bully Beef. Then I had Dupe on. And we were still playing the Football Manager at this time. And then the fourth one was Zealand. And I think at this point, I thought, because with Dupe, I was slowing the game all the way down, right? I was slowing it all the way to like literally a snail's pace just to get all the conversation in. And I thought, I can't do this anymore. I thought, like, ultimately, let's just try chatting. Let's just, you know, get rid of the football manager. Let's speak. Let's just speak. And Zealand was great as well. Obviously, everyone who I've ever had has been great. And then that's kind of where it just turned into this vodcast podcast. Initially, I was like dead set against it being called a podcast. I have no idea why, but I didn't want it to be a podcast. I have like genuinely no idea why. No idea why I was so against it. But I'm glad it is now. And I'm glad that, you know, we are everywhere, like on Spotify and all the good podcast platforms. Wally, shout out to him, Wally Woods. He helped me put it on Spotify through Anchor. And then it's just kind of taken on a world of its own where I'm always looking to improve. So, you know, for me, speaking to people, behind the scenes stuff is always where the money's at. And I'd say that in inverted, you know, in speech marks. You know, I grew up at a time in wrestling where everyone started to kind of break the fourth wall and you started to get to know the people who were doing the wrestling, you know, not just like, they weren't just kayfabe, they weren't just their characters anymore. They were actually human beings outside of that, playing characters. And I've always been kind of fascinated by that. And I kind of wanted to bring that into the football manager world and get to know people. Their experience can then help, hopefully, new content creators who will, I feel like quite a lot of content creators suffer with bad mental health at times because of their content. And if you can listen to Second Yellow Card, Work the Space, Dr. Benji, you know, a few of these people who've talked about their mental health struggles, I feel like that will then help you going forward.
A wonderful thing you've done there, man. Was there in that capacity of, obviously, you know, just going into it with the, you know, the thought process that you had in what you wanted to achieve with the content? You know, it's as Tony said, it's wonderful stuff. The scouting center is excellent. Like that's not just me saying that because you're sat here with us. It's absolutely phenomenal content. Did you have kind of a moment that you realized that, you know, it's because it's for me, it's what you've done is tick two boxes based on your description, because you've absolutely created and have accomplished what you set out to create. You know, like you're bringing people in, talking about things like, you know, issues with mental health, having these really frank and open, honest discussions with people. From your point of view, there must have been a moment where you were like, on the one hand, I've accomplished what I set out to do in that respect. Like I'm having these conversations and I'm putting it out there and I'm getting these people and we're helping each other. So that's great. And secondly, there must have been, you know, you say, you know, sometimes it's hard to be objective when it comes to your own content and what you're doing, but there must have been a moment when you must have thought to yourself, not only have I done what I wanted to do, it's also really good. Like there must have been, like you must take a lot of pride in what you do.
Not me myself, because I'm always looking for ways to improve. So I'm never happy, and it's a character flaw. And Second Yellow Card said it best in one of our interviews. He says, seeking perfection steals the joy of good. So I'm always looking for ways to improve. What I will say though is, like I know Ben watches it and Ben's given me some advice on it. I know that quite a few people in the Football Manager community love it and they comment on it. And there was a period of time where I tried Football Manager content and people were like, we're Scouting Center. And thinking about it logically now, and more so recently as well, I want to have a podcast and I want this to be my job. I want podcasting to be my job. I want, whether I can make it, that is another matter. I want to grow this now beyond the community. It will still have its home in Football Manager and we will still have Football Manager content creators on, but I want to expand it to creators, so comedians like your good selves, wrestlers is the goal. Like I love wrestling. Wrestling's been something I've watched for over 30 years of my life. If I could interview wrestlers, that would be like a dream come true for me. Having like journalists on it, so people like you know, Holly was meant to be a guest earlier on, but we couldn't agree a date. So now that will be coming soon though. You know, Ian McIntosh, for instance, he started following me the other day, so I'm going to drop him a DM. Basically, I want this to kind of be like version 2, where we're still having those open discussions about mental health and about the struggles of being a creator, because a creator is one of the most amazing things in the world. It's also one of the most mentally taxing things in the world, because when you're having a bad day, to then be able to create whatever field it is you're creating, whether it's a podcast, whether it's content streaming, whether it's a YouTube video, whether it's a wrestling promo, whatever it is, whether it's a comedy show. When your mental health is bad, it's very difficult to rise up. And there's been a few times where I've had to disappear from content creation, where, you know, content's taken a bit of a break. And that's because, you know, I've been quite open about it. My wife's not been very well. And during those periods, whenever I've taken a long break, it's not because I'm chilling or I'm being lazy or anything like that. It is simply because my mental health is bad. It's really bad. So for me to then fake being, hey, Mr Diz TV, hello everyone, welcome to the Scouting Centre. I am your, like, to do that when really I just want to be like, hey, I'm Mr Diz TV. Like that's how I feel. And I feel like I'll be doing that a disservice, because the Scouting Centre, I want the standards to remain really high. And for that to happen, I need to make sure I'm always on it when I'm presenting the Scouting Centre. So I don't ever look back and say it's really good. I'm constantly now looking forward to see how I can do it even better. So recently I've added more things, like I've changed thumbnail styles. Shout out to Omega Luke who was speaking to me about that. I've added things like clips into the video format, which, you know, Ben was saying I should have done that a year ago. Music wise, like I'm trying different things now, because obviously the iconic music, right, which I love, but I've got an intro, and that intro is like 15-20 seconds, but like that's retention. That people are probably thinking, what the heck is the point? Like, it doesn't need an intro, right? I can have an outro instead. Different things I'm trying, because I want to improve it. I want to get it better. I want to interview other people. I want to interview people still within the community, and I've already got some lined up. I'm not going to like spoil and say names and all that stuff, but I think I've reached out to quite a few people. But I just want it to get bigger and better and better. That's just my goal now. I want this to be something that people want to come on, and I know within the Football Manager community, I feel like it is. Beyond that, like there's a whole world out there that don't know about the Scouting Centre, and I want them to be like, oh, this from Scouting Centre, yeah, I'll do that. I want that to kind of happen. That's where I want this to be.
I mean, that is absolutely on the cards. Absolutely on the cards. Like I say, like I've been on the Scouting Centre from day one, like, as you know, and I messaged you quite a bit about like that episode was mint. Love that you're getting like creators who weren't quite the, I'm gonna say like slightly off angle, like for people like going, oh, you've not gone for the obvious names, or like straight away, like you say there, like Bully Beef. Like I remember when I first watched it, I didn't know a great deal about Bully Beef, and I was like, oh, okay, let's have a look and see what this guy, and that opened the doors for me to go and explore his content, which was great. Like I loved that. Creators Center or Content Center or something. There's your name for it. Go on, consider that going forward. But I think it brings something different to the space as well. And I think that's what I love about it, is it's not just, and that's what we wanted to do here with Football Manager Therapy. We didn't want to just be another podcast going, oh, hey, everyone, let's talk about our saves. Like we wanted to bring something different to talk about the community a bit about, you know. So again, we would talk about mental health. We'd talk about aspects of the game. The Scouting Centre does something completely different as well, and it looks at the creation side of stuff. And again, when we get guests on, we'd talk about the same thing. You'd say there to comedians, mental health battles about like the camera's going to go on, the stage lights are going to go on. Hey, we've been there. We have all been there. Like I've rang up and cancelled gigs by going, it's not happening. It's not happening today. Like I had to cancel a show on the morning. I had a weekend's run in, I think it was Plymouth or something. And I had a kids show in the morning and a double evening show in the evening. And I rang up the night before. And I just went, nah, find someone else. I'm not doing it. Like I can't put myself through it. Like Matt and I had episodes, again, we've spoken openly before, but when Matt was on the podcast, we've had episodes where we've recorded and then text each other literally 5 minutes after we've got off the call to log off, and just went, we're recording that again. That was we shouldn't have done that tonight. Like, and we both knew that. And Rich and I, again, are really open with our mental health as well. So yeah, we 100% get that you can't go on and be like, oh, here we go, like this is the thing. But people feel pressured. People feel pressured to perform. They feel pressured to go live on Twitch when they're not in the right mindset. They feel pressured to create a YouTube video because, oh, I have to get it out. That's my schedule. It has to be this. sometimes it is just take that step back, take a couple of days, be late. No one sat there like tapping your watch going, hang on, like you were meant to go live, you were meant to have a video out here. Like sometimes it is just wait a little bit and have something that's better rather than rushed and get something out of it.
I understand if you're a full-time creator and that obviously has its different pressures because that you're relying on that paycheck, right? But there's a lot of people in our space who do this as a hobby, but that do it as a hobby, but they treat it like full-time. And then that puts unnecessary pressure on yourself. And I've seen people constantly be destroyed by content because they feel like they've got to carry on putting stuff out. But really, the right move there is to take that step back. Now, I've taken a step back twice. I took one back in July, where it went until October. I think I took 3 months off, and then I took one from December up until April. There's nothing wrong if you're not relying on a paycheck from this. There's nothing wrong with taking that break to help yourself. The worst thing you can do is put yourself in a position, and especially if content is the reason. There's a lot of people who say, oh, it's not about the numbers, but it is about the numbers, right? So let's be honest, we all make content because we want people to watch it and we want people to enjoy it. And, some of it might be a hobby, but if it's a hobby, do not let this hobby destroy you. We can walk away from this hobby. We can take a break from a hobby. If we're doing a hobby of kickboxing and we break our leg, right? We ain't going to go kickboxing the next week, are you? No, you're going to take that break because it's a hobby, but you need to heal. It's the same with content. If you've got bad mental health because of the content, take a break from the content, start again in a few weeks. It's, priority is always health. And RDF said it on our last scouting center. He said, he basically said, he goes like, if people should just take a break if they need to. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, seriously, do not feel like you have to power through. If you're feeling at any point when you're creating the content, you're having to power through, or the grind. If you're having to grind to get it done, that's probably the time you need to start saying, maybe I need a bit of a break, because this should be fun, right? At the minute, I'm doing 2 episodes a week of Scouting Center. I want to do it for 3 or 4 weeks, but I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. It's the best thing in the world for me. Making a thumbnail, like before we started this, I was sorting out. It's going. Lelujo's has now been released. I was sorting out the thumbnail. I was sorting out the B-roll for it. Literally now, tomorrow morning, I'll export it and it'll all be ready. Tomorrow, on the guest announcement, I'm doing something new. You guys will know now. I'll do a TikTok with word association game, and that will be how I. And it will be on Twitter as well. But that's how I'm going to announce the guest. Shout out to Stinger for that idea. And I'm constantly looking at ways to evolve it because I'm loving it at the minute. If it was a grind, if it was I have to do it, I'd go back to 1 episode and I'd kind of just take that step back. I think you've got to constantly in this game, especially if you're doing it as a hobby. I understand you wanting to grow, but unfortunately, not everyone's going to grow.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And I think you've just got to be honest with yourself. Where if it starts damaging you, okay, take that step back because there's only one of you. There's a million Football Manager content creators.
I think that's a key word there where you're saying about the grind. Like it is a hobby. And if it's a grind and a hobby, that's not a good space to be in. Like work is a grind. Yeah. Work can be a grind, but work's paying you as your wage. But yeah, if this is a second income or just something for fun, then your hobby shouldn't be a grind. I've had a question from one of our listeners, Craig Hadley. He's a creator.
I like Craig. Yep.
We love Craig to bits. He says, is there a guest that you would want on the Scouting Centre that you haven't had on yet? Now, again, spoiler alert, because of course some of this may have already happened, but is there anybody that, you're sitting there, you're talking about wrestlers, you're talking about content, anyone in that space that you'd be desperate to get on?
Tony Khan. 100% Tony Khan.
That would be good.
I would love to know how it is for him, being obviously of Pakistani American descent, to then be one of the biggest promoters in the wrestling world, to go and then also he's a owner or the what's his role again? I think it's general manager for Jacksonville Jaguars. I imagine there aren't many Pakistani American people doing that role
in Jacksonville.
And then obviously being a chairman at Fulham. You know, there's so much to speak about his journey, and then also like the fact that he used to book Dynamite and Rampage like 10 years ago before he had the wrestlers, you know, before he had AEW. His mind is like his creative mind. I love to know more about it, and then also like the challenges that he faces and what he's got planned going forward. He'd be one. Adam Cole, I love, and I am okay. So I don't know whether he'll ever see this, but just Adam, I'm in love with you. Okay, you are my favorite person in the whole world. He's such a nice person. I don't know if you've ever seen him in his streams or like outside of like being the bad guy in wrestling. He's always smiling. He's so caring. He's so softly spoken. He is just like, I look up to him, and he's younger than me. And there's nothing wrong with like, you know, looking up to people who are younger than you. But I think it's great. He's just a great human being. So I think in that space, they're two people I'd love to do. I'd love wrestlers full stop, to be fair, just to kind of, you know, their journey is, I think, quite it can be quite challenging, can't it? And you know, to get to the top, not everyone's guaranteed to get there, and I think that can be quite of a grind, but they're getting paid to do it. I didn't want to say grind there, which is why it took me a while. I was there thinking, oh God, I'm going to sound like a
get around this somehow. Like, no, you talk about him, call them, mate, man crush Mondays are a thing. Like, you're allowed that. That's good. Like,
I love him. He's just such an amazing human being. Like, so nice. So, like, yeah, there's, you know, Kenny Omega, I love him. I'm just a stan for AEW, to be fair. Cody, why did you leave? I'd ask him that. Cody Rhodes. There's so many people. I think in the content creation space, okay, this one's going to be a bit controversial. Mark Goldbridge. I'd love to speak to him because, you know, he left a career in policing to become, you know, one of the biggest content creators in the world with the United Stand. And then obviously now he's got this contract with TalkSport. So you talk about having, you know, a career plan and then totally deafing it to doing something totally different. Like and policing is quite a settled career, right? So for him to do that, I think that's quite big. And then also maybe somebody like Pieface, who's played Football Manager as well, and also FIFA as well. I think he'd be great to have on. So, you know, the list is endless, right? Like, literally, there's going to come a point now. I haven't done it yet. At the minute, I still, you know, I've not mentioned the people who have already booked in, like, going forward, because, you know, spoiler alerts and all that stuff. But there is going to come a time where I am just literally going to spend like 3 or 4 days on the computer, and I'm just going to be emailing everyone, DMing everyone that I can to say, look, do you want to be on this podcast? Because that's the only way that this grows, right? Like, unless I know somebody like FNG, I'd love to have FNG. Oh my God, I love FNG. Wolfie as well. Nathan B as well in the future as well. I'd love like to get that network game all together. So there are so many people that I want to get on, and eventually there will come a point where I just start DMing people and just start saying, right, this is the time now. This is where I'm kind of happy with where I'm at. And that's what I mean. I got to get happy with where I'm at, and then this is how we grow it now. This is how we take it to higher levels, because I really want to. I love the scouting centre, and I want it. And I might be disappointed in the future, right? It might never happen. But the worst thing that happens now is I stay where I am. And where I am is in a very good space in relation to the scouting centre and the community. The best thing that can happen is my dreams can be accomplished. I know which one I'd rather try.
All right, I'll tell you what, we're going to put it out here now, right? Rich, you've got the next question, okay? But let's put it out here right now into the universe. It said in open space. In the future, the Scouting Centre and Football Manager Therapy will share a podcast studio.
Oh, I'd love that. I would love that. I've already been, you know what? It's funny you should say that, because this week, whilst I haven't been looking into prices and all that kind of stuff, I have been looking into where this goes in the future. And in the future, it is a studio. 100%. Like, this will only be so long virtually. And don't get me wrong, like, if I end up interviewing wrestlers and stuff, it will have to be virtually. Because I ain't affording the expense of flying you out over here first class. Like, you know what I mean? I can't afford that. But
here's the wrestling centre with a guy who's wrestled for 9 hours. That's all the experience he's got, but he's local.
Local talent only, please. Must drive.
So how did you get into the wrestling business? Oh, I'm not in it really.
What do you do? Okay. Yeah, the shortest episode of the Scouting Centre ever. But yeah, I like that. I like that because that is the evolution of it, right? And then like having the local people to be able to come to the be able to pay train fare and all that stuff for to sit down, have a chat, maybe 2 or 3 hour chat where we can just split into 2 or 3 episodes. And that is the future of this podcast. Like it can't be done virtually all the time, although if it's a necessity, it will be. But I like that, Tony. I'd love to share a studio with you guys.
Yeah, we'll do it. I mean, I'm massively into that because, Diz, we're both Midlands based. So, Tony, enjoy that commute, my friend.
So I've got a place in York, right? So you're all on the train. Come on. Take
him 10 hours to get down here, wouldn't it?
Hey, you've seen me drive, right? That's exactly what it'll take. I drive like a nana. That's my thing.
But yeah, that is the future of it. To be fair, I've got some, just a little bit of a spoiler just to talk about, Scouting Centre again. So I found some of the names that I was planning for the Scouting Centre. So I did this on the 29th of December 2020. So I had Streamer Info. That would have been a name. Apparently for the show. Streamer Vision, Squad Dynamics, Diz Scouts, Diz Meets. I think I did okay with the Scouting Centre. None of them are even close to the Scouting
Streamer
Centre.
Dynamics sounds like a tag team.
It really does, yeah.
No idea what I was thinking when I was writing that down. Genuinely cannot remember. I remember just I remember like today, like before this, thinking I'm sure I had like names and I had everything in a OneNote. So I opened up the OneNote and there it was, and I was like, yeah, these names suck.
But that's the thing, man. Like you never know where the name comes from. It just hits you, and you're just like, that's the name. That's the name.
And literally, I would have remembered, like it would have been me streaming and me seeing the Scouting Centre. Think to my head, because when you scout, what are you doing? You're finding out more about the person, right? Well, hello. That's what an interview is, right? Or it's finding out more about the person. So yeah, it just made sense to me. And I think it's kind of taken on a life of its own. And I'm genuinely blessed though, because the guests that I have on, like now I've got good relationships with most of them. And like Jack, for instance, worked the space. He was meant to be my guest in December, my next guest, when I had to take that time off. And I messaged him. He's like, that's fine. Don't worry about it. And then a few times after, when I was in his stream, he was saying to me, look, Diz, you need to get me on your podcast whenever you're ready. And then that's why he was my first guest, because it's Jack. I love Jack. Jack's the best person in the world, like one of the nicest people in the world. But I'm also very fortunate that he wanted to be on it. And he was reminding me to invite him on it. And I'm truly blessed because, the Scouting Centre is only as good as the openness of the people that are on it. And I'm quite lucky that the people who are on it are quite open and they trust me that I'm not going to screw them over. I send them questions beforehand or topic areas. I send them where we're going to go. They get that in advance. I say to them, if there's anything that I ask that you don't want to speak about, let me know. And I won't kind of push in relation to that, because there might be things that, we talk about mental health and people might not be ready to open up about certain things. So I am truly blessed in relation to the people trust me with their stories.
It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Now, in terms of, obviously, we've talked Scouting Centre, we've talked about kind of streaming, that sort of things. Obviously, we've touched quite heavily on it, in the last few minutes. You are a big wrestling guy. You've said it yourself. You are a big AEW stan. We did have, we always put it out to the community before we record. We ask for questions from members of the community. We've had one from a Matthew Richards.
Never heard of him.
No. No.
Must be new.
Yeah. Long time listener.
3 followers.
Long time listener, first time caller, Matthew Richards. He would like to know, and I rate this question. I'm so angry with him because it's such a good one. If you, Mr. Diz, had to put together a 5-a-side football team made up of AEW wrestlers, how's that team looking?
I see. That's a great question.
It's good, isn't it?
That is awesome. Fair play to Matt.
Sickeningly good.
I mean, Matthew.
This guy sounds like he's got a career going on, doesn't it? Like,
honestly, yeah, he sounds like he's done this before.
He's got a chance. Yeah. That's right. So I could go obvious here, because obvious for me will be Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, right? That's easy.
Who's playing in goal?
Who's...
Because you're not picking the goalkeeper, have you?
I'm gonna go Nick Jackson because he's really athletic.
Okay.
Nick, right. But so that would be my normal. So that would be probably my if I was going to pick my top 5. But there are so many good personalities in AEW that I've got to know from behind the scenes stuff and watching like their vlogs and stuff. So I'm gonna go Ethan Page, right? One of the nicest people in wrestling. I watched all of his at the start of this year. I watched all of his vlogs from back in the day before he signed with AEW. Seriously, one of the best vlogs out there. So Ethan Page, I'd put him in goal. Nyla Rose, she is hilarious. Now, I know you guys are probably thinking, what's that got to do with the 5-a-side? Everyone needs to laugh when you're losing 10-0. Yeah. Because let's be honest, this 5-a-side team is a bunch of wrestlers. We're not winning no games. All right.
Not with that attitude, you're not.
But I'd be the manager and say, look, go out, have fun, make some good, just have fun. Right. Then I'd have John Silver, right, because he is hilarious as well. Johnny Hongi. I'd have Danhausen. Oh my God, you got to have Danhausen.
Hold on,
very nice, very evil.
Diz. Hold on. Oh, look at me go. I'm going up.
There he is. There it is. I didn't even know that.
There it is.
That is for the YouTube viewers, by the way.
No additional audio context. Just.
I was about to give it there. So that's the scouting center coming in me. So definitely Danhausen, and then I think I'd go. I think I'd go Hangman just because I think he's a great person. Judging by some of his tweets, where he's had to stand up for stuff, and I like that kind of attitude. So like I says, the obvious answer would be the top 5 that I picked, but I feel like in relation to the amount of content that I watch about AEW and wrestling that I do, and I do watch it every week. I watch all the vlogs, I watch all the behind the scenes stuff. I'm always searching wrestling stuff, anything backstage I can find. I'll watch. So I'd go Nyla Rose, Ethan Page, John Silver, Danhausen, Hangman Page. Great question, Matthew.
It's decent. I quite like it. Well done, Matthew. Maybe a career in interviewing could be on the horizon for you with that. So,
thing is, I think he might be better than that.
Do you reckon?
I think he might move forward. I
think he's got better questions than that. Oof.
Nah, I think he's peaked there. I think that's
I think Rich is right. I think he's peaked. I think he needs to move on, go to something else. Go and do something with computers or university or something. So I will do a question. I'll do another question actually. Which is from SNG. So now this is a person who has not peaked yet.
Yes. Again, love SNG.
A face that we all know within the community. Question comes in for draft competitions. Do you feel that having an assistant manager is closer to hiring a personal trainer to get you in shape for a marathon, or do you have them replace you while you claim the glory? He knows there's some sort of stigma around this at the minute and would like a bit of a discussion upon it.
So it's basically asking, can you have a team around you, right?
Yeah, the idea of coming into a draft competition with a backroom staff. The assistant manager is, I think everyone has joked on, everyone knows everyone's got an assistant manager. I mean, I'll hold my hands up. SNG has done a tiny bit of work on some of my tactics before, so he's in my corner. It's not as full as he was with when Luke had the attackerless tactic. But I guess the question is what have you got behind the AM as well? Like, is there more people behind there? Who's doing the scouting? Are you just the face? Are you basically just a pawn for everyone else to be like?
So I love SNG. So his tactics are great, and I've used one on Scout and stuff like that as well. So love SNG, great person. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a backroom team. So I think it just depends on what the rules are, right, in relation to that competition. So if those rules are, for instance, and in the Streamer Showdown, it's like the database doesn't go outside of who the competitors are, right? So, for instance, you couldn't set up a network game and have other people then come test on it, right? That's fair. If you do that, you probably cross the line. But if you've got a team that is doing scouting for you, that is then like giving you ideas about other people, what other people will pick, maybe tactics that other people are using, I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I think, if anything, that's where we are now content-wise. I think, we're making content. You want to win a competition, right? Everyone wants to win. You want to have fun as well while doing it. I say everyone wants to win. I mean, when I was on the Streamer Show, I just wanted to have fun. because I picked Harry Kane, so you were winning. Context, people, context.
Yeah, no context Diz.
But yeah, so I totally understand. Like, having a backroom team is fine because ultimately, when it comes down to it, so I won the Super League in. I don't know if I've mentioned it.
Did you get? I see you got a trophy. They didn't get me. They didn't give me a trophy.
Changed ownership since, hasn't it? Right. So I won that.
I've never won it. I don't want to.
I don't need to now.
No, I don't need to. I don't need the validation.
I dropped the title because there was no trophy.
And this is what you got to think about as well, Rich. Because Tony's won it, technically, you've already won it.
Oh yeah. Honestly, if there's one thing I can say in terms of this community, Tony's coattails are so comfortable. Oh my god, sumptuous.
Oh, brilliant.
I thought you were about to say if Tony's won it, the competition's been devalued, so you don't need it.
I'd refuse to play in the Super League ever again after Tony won it. I was like, what's the point?
Tarnished.
I was like, literally, anyone can win it now. But then look, was it Viking? Did Viking Dan win one?
Yeah, Viking Dan won, yeah. I mean, to be honest, after my last show again, I think my players gave up on the idea of competing in it as well again. They just went, no, we've overachieved here.
But yeah, so when it comes down to it, though, in competitions, right, the manager's the only one in charge, right? So like the face, the guy who's streaming or the girl who's streaming, they're the people who are playing the game. So, and this is the mistake that I made in the Streamer Showdown. So many people were trying to give me help. I took it and I tried to take it. And because of that, I ended up playing like 16,426 different formations. And Harry Kane played about 18 different roles. So reinventing new roles in that Streamer Showdown for Harry Kane. But in the Super League, I kind of just did it all myself and kind of just had faith in myself. So I feel like, well, it's great to have a backroom staff and that can help you with your drafting, that can help you with what other people will play, that can help you with tactics. I think ultimately, when it comes down to that in-game PvP management, that's down to the individual manager. And then ultimately, it's up to that individual manager how much he wants to shout out his team. Ultimately, I'd be all over it because a win for me is a win for everybody who's behind me, right, and supporting me. So,
yeah,
I'm all for that. I'm all for it.
No, I think you're right. Like, I think that there now is that thing where there is, as you say, a lot of tactical videos out there. For example, and I know some creators are very open, saying, "I brought a video out this week saying what I was going to play. If you've not seen it, that's your own fault." Like, so people actually around now, like, they're really open about it. They're going like, "The video's there. Like, watch it, learn it. Like, look at the tactic, do it that way." How did you feel the day you were lifted from the lowdown and put into the showdown? Because you had no backup at that point. You're sitting there, you're literally taking a message from the chat. What was going through your mind at that point? Were you sitting there going, I have no help at all? Like, we're up against people who have teams, and now it's Mr Diz going, I guess we're going to go and draft everybody. Like...
that was my biggest concern, right? So like it happened. Firstly, I never expected they would have done all that hype for me, and I was really like touched by that. I really was. Like, I cannot begin to express how accepted that made me feel that they did all of that for me, because I thought it was going to be somebody like huge. I thought it was going to be somebody like with a big reputable name. For it to be me, and then going round like afterwards, I didn't go sleep till at 4 o'clock that night, but I went around everyone's streams because I thought people are going to be disappointed. Why? It's Mr Diz TV. Everyone was like, I think 99.9% of the people were so happy and that they found it funny and they were with it and they were all for it. Seriously, one of the great, probably the top 2 greatest moments of my content life. The top one is probably bringing the scouting center to life. So it was so much fun. But obviously, being on the lowdown, you're meant to do some prep. Okay, this is the story. So on Monday, normally we get given the prep probably on a Saturday or a Sunday. So we're told, right, like, go and research the leagues, all that kind of stuff. There were 10 leagues, I believe, and I can't remember which ones. I think I had Portugal. No, there were nationalities. It was nationalities. So I had Denmark, I had Holland, Netherlands, and I had Germany. So I had those 3 countries but we only got given that Monday evening. And bear in mind, the lowdown's on a Wednesday. So I did it on Tuesday morning with the hope of having an hour before to then prep. So only out of those 10 countries, I only prepped 3 countries, because you're relying on the rest of your team to help you out, especially because it was a little bit late giving it, and we did all the prep a little bit late as well. So that was when I got lifted up, and after the whole excitement and all that stuff, which was mad, and the adrenaline was still pumping. And then I literally just started my stream straight away. And like the opening VOD, you can hear me say, "Oh my God, I had no idea. Oh my God." Like I was probably like shrieking out, because like it was the excitement levels, and it was through the roof. Then I start thinking, right, I gotta pick people. Who am I gonna pick first? And you have that mind blank. And I think Harry Kane, and I think, why am I picking Harry Kane here? Right, I should pick Benzema. Right, but what's ended up happening is I've gone for the most expensive player. Because I haven't prepped 7 out of 10 of the countries. The 3 out of 10 I wasn't fully confident with anyway, because I was hoping to do it beforehand, like before the showdown, but then like life got in the way. So I'm comfortable with it. I'm good enough to like, talk about it and talk about my picks. If you're asking me for like the broader picture, I can't give the bigger picture. I can't give you that. So then to start drafting, it was a nightmare. Luckily, I still had the team spreadsheet open, which after the first 2 picks, which ended up being, I think, Harry Kane and Christian Eriksen. It probably should have been Benzema and James Ward-Prowse. So it should have been my first 2 picks. But after that, and I calmed down, I started to just go through the picks, because I spent a chunk of my money. I was already struggling a little bit, to be fair. So yeah, it was it one of my top moments of my content life, but also one of my most panicky moments, because I was just there like, yeah, I'm not ready for this. So that's why I had so much fun on the Saturday, though. I bought out Big Baller Diz, got the old hat and everything, I got the chains and everything. It was just fun. I made out the whole thing. If you got over 100,000 subscribers, I beat you, because I beat Zealand, Work the Space, and Dr. Benji. And I always knew I was going to lose how he plays, so it was good fun. It was good fun.
Oh mate, you say there, man, about like everyone being happy for you, and genuinely, like it was from us on the outside looking at it, it was so good, good to see everybody like just so happy for you to be put in that position, because as you say, you maybe don't know it yourself, like, and you come across like I feel as though I know you relatively well. I think over the last couple of years, like I know you're not one to bang your own drum. Right, but believe me, there was a lot of people banging drums, man. Like, and we were all so happy to see you given that opportunity, and just that look on your face of fuck. But we were all just like, this is class. Like, again, they could have given it to someone huge and mega, and it was just like, no, Diz deserves his shot. And to see Diz given that chance, we were all, oh mate, it's just so good, so good.
I mean, I think they did give it to somebody huge. So that's just my interpretation of it. I was absolutely, like Tony said, so made up for you when that happened. Such a lovely moment. Stuff like that, few and far between.
It's something that I haven't really spoken of, but I'm the first South Asian person to ever be on the showdown, and I've never mentioned that before. And more than like, obviously they see me on the lowdown all the time, but to compete in the showdown is a bit different. And I feel like it gives people something to aim for. Like, there isn't a glass, there isn't a ceiling that, ultimately we create our own ceiling. And I'm really like looking back on it and reflecting on it. And I've never mentioned that before, but I was really proud of it. Like, we talk about diversity and stuff like that, and we talk about like the impact we can have. I love the FM community. I genuinely love being part of it. I love the love that I get from it. I love everything that I can give to it. I love people in it. And I think also the influence that I can have now on future generations, hopefully this inspires other people to go for it. Like, what's the worst that can happen, right? And I say this regularly. What's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is you stay in the same place as you are. The best that can happen is you end up on the Streamer Showdown being mystery manager number 9. I'm surrounded by some of the best creators in the world. I'm surrounded by some of the best, but more important than that, I'm surrounded by some of the best people in the world. Like, it's mad because I remember when lockdown happened and all that stuff, and I remember like people talking about like they're losing friends and all that stuff. Because of the Football Manager community, I was gaining friends. And there might not be friends that I like go out and I have a meal or I see on a regular basis. I'm okay with that. I'm okay being at home. Like I don't need to go out and I don't drink anymore and all that stuff. So I'm fully comfortable, like having the friends that I've got now and having like the people around me that I've got, because the amount of love that they've all given me. And it's like I said on my exit interview, when I feel low, like I'm not a naturally competitive guy unless like it's something that, like I've got a chip on my shoulder, for instance. If I had more time to prepare, for instance, if I was announced beforehand, I probably would have had a chip on my shoulder. I really want to win this. I really want to win this to show you've made the right choice and put me in this. Because of the love I was shown and because the way it was done, I didn't have that. I couldn't have that. I was too busy consumed by all this love that was shown towards me, which I never expected, but I really, really appreciated. And like over the last few years, I've been quite open. You know, life hasn't been easy for me. My wife's not been well. You know, all this stuff that I've kind of spoken about quite openly about. And to receive that, like you don't know the impact that people can have on you. For people, it might have just been a little thing and saying like, haha, well done and all that kind of stuff. For me, seeing that as a whole was like the best thing in the world. And I can't thank people enough for that. And, you know, Ben and Nerd, who for some weird reason decided it would be me. And you know, I'm lucky to kind of, that they chose me, and you know, I'm happy,
mate. That's perfect.
Mm-hmm. I don't. Perfect. Yeah, I don't think it's luck at all, man. I think you are where you are because you deserve to be there, and I think it's something that a lot of people in the community don't give themselves enough credit for. You know, I mean, I've always joked that, you know, I've lucked out by getting this gig, and I haven't looked out. It's because I've got so many incriminating photos of Matt. That's how I got the gig. You know,
I totally understand. Understand.
If you haven't got the talent, then you need blackmail material. But like,
you don't know what I've got on Ben. You don't know. You don't know.
But no, you being where you are, and you know, getting the opportunity to having done that, it's, you know, it's not by chance. It's not luck. You know, you said earlier, you know, you would like to, you said, you know, if you have the opportunity to grow things like the scouting center, you know, it's not an if, my friend. It's a when. It's gonna happen for you. And you know, for you to be in the position that you've been put in, it's not luck. You're there because you deserve to be. So more credit to you for that, man. More credit to you.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. I always say, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And my God, man, you took that opportunity with both hands. And the love that you received, 100% deserved. 100% deserved. And I think that for me right now, I guess that's it feels like a good place to end. Have you got any final thoughts or?
No, it's exactly no. You said the preparation meets opportunity. The amount of hours I have spent on choosing music, choosing an intro, creating a logo, the order that I do guests in, the research that I do. Like, if people want to do this, like, if the people want to do podcasts, like, you know yourself, Tony, as well, and like Rich and Matt before, that Matthew Richards, great guy, great future ahead of him. But the amount of work you've got to put into this, like, it's not just turn up. And I know people, like, there's been quite a few like podcasts and stuff coming forward from the scouting center. The amount of prep that I do, the amount of questions that I do, like the way I kind of like try and make people feel comfortable, you know, spend some time on the pre-work. And, you know, if you want things to grow, because I see there are quite a few podcasts out there, spend some time on the relationships as well. You know, speak to people, get to know them, not for your views, but because you're genuinely interested in those people. Because I do see this space growing within Football Manager. I do see this happening more in content, like, you know, the podcast world. Well, try it, like I says, try and get to know people, because that's probably one of the most important things. Not for, like I says, and not for your selfish reasons, but just to get to know people. That's the best bit about life, right? At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, what's going to miss you? Your YouTube? No, it's going to be the relationships that you establish. So I don't know why I went on that rant.
Preach, man. I'm all for that. You're 100% right. Like you're 100% right. It's get to know the person, not for the views they're going to bring, but because you want to tell their story, and that's when you get more out of them. And I hope I know you said before we even started recording, let's go all the way back to where before we even turned the camera on, you said you've not done a podcast before yet. And this is your podcast debut. And I genuinely hope you've enjoyed it. We've loved having you on it. And please come back. You're already in the FMT Hall of Fame. This, I think this has been a great episode. So Diz, plug yourself, man. Plug the Scouting Centre. Let people know where they can find you. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, podcast. Go for it.
It's really easy. Everything is Mr Diz TV. So on YouTube, search Mr Diz TV or the Scouting Centre if you want to. But everything else, I am just Mr Diz TV. So TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Mr Diz TV, and then you'll find me. I'm also on Spotify, the Scouting Centre on Spotify. Please give me a 5-star review. Reviews, lifeblood of a podcast.
Absolutely. And I was going to say, of course, we'll put everything in the descriptions below as well. So yeah, go and drop Mr Diz a follow. Rich, do you want to do the same? Let people know where you are.
You can find me. It's Rich Owens FM. So at Rich Owens FM on Twitter and twitch.tv/Rich Owens FM. Obviously, this is going out a week after the my 1-year anniversary stream. So I'm just so grateful for the thousands of follows that I received. Wasn't expecting to break so many records with it. It's quite incredible. So thank you everybody for that. Massively appreciated.
The way you raised £18,000 for charity was amazing.
I know, incredible, wasn't it? Absolutely incredible.
The fact they had to pay £42,000 in legal fees after it was just disgusting. Quite frankly,
I stand by everything I said.
Just personally for me, thank you guys for inviting me. I did say, sorry, I should have said this at the last time. I didn't know we were finishing off, but I did say at the start of this, out of all the podcasts, unless I was invited to 20 Good Minutes with Benji and Zealand, but this would have been the only one that I would have done my podcast debut with. So thank you so much. I think the world of you guys. I think the world of Football Manager Therapy. And what it was before and what it's becoming now. So thank you for having me on, and I've had a great time.
Oh, mate, the pleasure is literally all ours. Genuinely, thank you so much for coming on it. As I say, my socials. It's at Tony Jameson on Twitter, at Tony Jameson FM on Twitch, and of course, if you are interested in follow us on Patreon, it's patreon.com/FMT Pod, where you get the weekly episode early. You get some discount merch. You also get a private Discord channel, and you can sign up for as little as £1 a month. Go and do that. That's an absolute bargain, right? So, Diz, it's been an absolute pleasure. Seriously, man, we will be getting you back. You know it, right? You know it.
Whenever you need me, I am there. And when you replace Rich, I am there.
Perfect. So next week's episode is going to be me and Mr. Diz.
Rich, I'm so sorry. I need a joke to help with the nerves. It's not me at the start, though. I'm literally at the end.
I'm happy to be that punchline for everybody forever. No, you're right.
Bless you. Well, you know what? It's been an absolute pleasure. Hope you've all enjoyed it. Hope we'll see you soon. Take care. We'll see you on another episode of Football Manager Therapy.